Hi everybody, your friend Zero here, back again with another album review for you guys. In today's brand spanking new review, I'm going to be talking about the fourth and newest studio album by Michigan-based rapper NF called The Search. This album was released last year through NF's own label, NF Real Music, and it's the follow-up to his 2017 album Perception. Perception is probably my favorite album that NF has ever put out, mainly because of how cohesive and honest and confessional it is, and how NF started singing a lot more on this album because he is a terrific singer and rapper, which most rappers these days can't really pull off. However, I am ashamed to say that this new album, The Search, is NF's worst album to date for many reasons. Some of those reasons being how one-dimensional it is, how it lacks a lot of lyrical and musical variety that was present in NF's last three albums, and just how overall boring and predictable it is, which is such a disappointment to say because I absolutely love NF's last three albums, especially his third one, Perception. So, like I was saying before, yes, this album is incredibly one dimensional and it lacks a lot of musical and lyrical variety. Most of the songs sound way too similar to each other to the point where this album will start to feel incredibly boring and predictable way too quickly, and will make you feel like you're listening to the same horribly long song over and over again. What I mean by that is that most of the tracks on here are piano driven songs that are backed up by boring and overused trap beats, songs where NF is singing over the same three chords on a piano, or both combined. There's no substance at all on this album, unlike his last three. And then the only songs that actually have substance and creativity and are a little bit different are scattered very lightly throughout the album, whether that be a dark gothic like trap song with a booming beat or a fast-paced lightning flow rap anthem with so many different instruments and flows coming in at once. This album is just so alternately thrilling and draining, but mostly draining. And it also doesn't help that most of the songs on here are about pretty much the same things, NF's mental health. Now, of course, I do love songs that discuss mental health and trauma, especially in hip hop, because of how taboo these topics are in hip hop these days. But what makes the aspect of this album so annoying and like gear grinding, I guess, is that NF can't decide whether he wants to make a sad rap or an egotistical rap about how great he is. And now that aspect of this album is so contradictory to the point where you can't decide if you hate him or if you feel sorry for him because he's constantly changing it up. And I myself couldn't decide. This album also lacks a lot of characteristics that made his last few albums have such a heavy emotional weight, which is more honest and raw and confessional lyrics. Now, some of the songs on this album do have those, but most of the songs that attempt to have them end up just sounding half-assed or rushed. And it really does suck to say that because this album is coming from someone who's been a huge fan of NF since Perception in 2017 and has loved all of his albums before that too, especially Therapy Session. Now, even though this album is mostly a flop, it does have a couple solid tracks on it. Like I was saying before, Why is an incredibly dark and heavy song. It features some of NF's most confessional and self-aware lyrics to date, which are backed up by a very heavy gothic trap beat with a broken music box sounding instrumental. The song lyrics carry a heavy emotional weight, while the instrumental carries a heavy musical weight, and they both really make this song the best song on the album. NF is also just straight up rapping throughout the whole song instead of stopping to take a sing break, which is something I wish he would have done more of. And I know I said before that I like that NF is singing more on this album, but I only liked it on Perception, which is a good album. His emotional, loud style of rapping is what made his last few albums so heavy and good, and because there's not a lot of that on this album, which is one of the reasons this album isn't so good, he should have done it more to improve it a bit, so yeah. Another incredibly solid track is Options, which is a tad mainstream in some ways, but NF's fast paced rapping over this banging beat definitely saves this song from being horrible. Yes, the hook is repeated too much throughout the song, but it's a good song besides that. NF is once again going off and delivering some of his fastest lines yet, and that's always refreshing to see. He's also rapping about his fame and how his fame makes him feel guilty, which is pretty cool and honest. It's something different than mental health, which I really like. The last good track I'm going to talk about is the title track, The Search. It's another incredibly honest and raw song that also features some of NF's most honest and relatable lyrics to date. The song starts out relatively slow, but then once it gets to the next half, the beat drums kick in, and NF starts going the fuck off. It's such an intense and rapid tune that I wish the rest of this album would have lived up to. But yeah, I mean, besides a few tracks, this album mostly is really not good. It's not so bad to the point where it's going on Let's Talk About Trash, but it definitely does not deserve a good rating, and I really hate to say that. To conclude this review, I'm giving NF's newest album, The Search, a 4 out of 10, and I really hope to God that his next album is an improvement and goes back to what made his last three albums actually amazing. Personality. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of NF's album, The Search. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Just copied Anthony Fantano again. And yeah, until the next review, my name is Zero, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.